Time is. What we wish to examine is what physical time is. What is it that all clocks have in common? It is the C2 value found in the physics trilogy. In the first, we find the C2 value as a multiplier to get energy. The second, it is the divider to get mass. The third is a field of gravity, or that of physical time itself. The C2 value describes duration. It moves at the speed of light. It's the reason for the past, present, and future. And the present moves into the past at this speed. And it is true throughout our entire universe. The direction is always linear. The design is one-dimensional. Let's take a look at why this exists within mass and why our entire universe is subject to its control. We ourselves being totally formed of physical time. We're going to consider two photons moving from the sun to Earth. One is going to make it, this one right here. In about 8.5 minutes, it moves from the sun to the Earth. This one is not going to make it. And the reason for that is it's going to be, again, orbiting about its own self. So it's going to form a closed loop. And what this means, the speed of the photon itself can remain constant. It's like a car on a racetrack that's a 1-mile oval. Whether the race car goes at 140 miles in a straight line or 140 miles on an oval course, the speed is still the same. And it's the same with a photon. If a photon moves about its own path, it can still go the same speed and yet remain in one spot. This is our photon. Notice this is the circuit that it's following. At a point in the circuit, it starts overlapping its own frequency. So there would be the same as two frequencies living or existing in the same spot. And that is what bonds electromagnetic energy to itself, frequency overlap. The speed is the same, but instead of going in a straight line, it follows a closed loop. This is what happens when the electron forms into mass. Instead of being a one-dimensional unit of energy, it forms 3 dimensions. There is an electric equatorial region. There is a southern region which forms mass, and a description of that would be it offers resistance to movement. The northern region forms magnetic lines, and these lines extend according to the energy of the mass itself. Notice that there are 4 spin states. There's one vertical, 2 more to the left, and 1 to the right, which is twice the distance of either of these. And these different spin states are found in different subshells, SPDF shells, subshells. I would like you to notice how energy and mass and the C2 value are interchangeable. Here we have energy, and it's converted into joules. See the red energy, red joules. The reason I'm doing this is so you can see how the physics trilogy works together. There we have energy. Next we have mass. Here we have our green mass, and here it is in kilograms, 1 kilogram. This is energy divided by the constant squared. I would say that the constant squared is not a numerical value only. It is a representation of physical reality. And that is found in the next equation. C2 equals E divided by M. This, as I made mention, is that of a field of gravity. And here, in the third part of the physics trilogy, it shows how this works out. I would like to show you what happens to a mass as it accelerates. We had begun with the photon overlapping its own frequency and forming mass in form of an electron. An electron is a form of electromagnetic energy because an electron can convert directly into gamma radiation, the radiation from whence it was made. This means that this form of mass, the electron as well as greater masses formed of it, are subject to the same laws as is electromagnetic energy, which is E equals HF. E equals HF. And that is for a single photon. But mass itself is subject to the same process of energy being found. And let's take a look at it. This is a three-dimensional mass, 186,292 miles a second. All about it. Energy is able to move in any direction at this speed. And when I say energy in this case, it's not mass involved with it. It would be frequency of energy, like electric energy or something along that line. What I would like you to notice are these lines down and across. These are lines of frequency, and notice that they are even. And we're going to take a look at a representation of a mass that is moving so that energy is able to move only at 46,570 miles a second. That's all faster it can move. The reason being is that as it is accelerating, the frequency of the mass is being compressed, the same as electromagnetic energy. Notice how these lines are greatly compressed, and the ones horizontal, these are being compressed almost into a straight line. It is for this reason that we find that as a mass moves, that it shrinks in direction of travel, and it has the direction it has gone, but it remains the same laterally. It is because the frequency changes within the mass, the same as electromagnetic energy. The more energy a photon has, the greater the density of these waves. The less energy of a photon, these waves become stretched way out. Now, if we were to be going at the speed of light minus 2 feet per second, that means that what had been mass, if this were an overhead shot, would be an infinitely narrow line. The energy would exist outward yet, but all these frequencies would be compressed into a very narrow line. Now what this does, it brings us right back to the beginning. Time is what? Time is movement. Time moves at the speed of light. Everything is composed of this value, and that is why time throughout our universe moves universally, so to speak, at the same speed, and everything is subject to this value, for it is what we are composed of.